into the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
That is right, everybody. Season 1, episode 18. Nice song there, Steven. Of Stalker. The Woods, here on AfterBuzz TV. I am Cameron Lewis. Joining me via video call, my co-host, Anastacia Waller. Anastacia, what's going on?
Hey guys, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I miss you back in LA.
Oh, I miss you so much, but I'm so happy you're able to join us. And Steven's going to be joining us in the booth, piping in every now and then. I have some... Whoa.
Just a little bit.
Steven. As always, follow us on Twitter at AfterBuzzTV. Use that hashtag ABTV Stalker, which, by the way, is a much better hashtag to follow this show with than just Stalker. I find there's a lot of creepy things on Twitter that just come up with the hashtag Stalker. It's a little bit...
I feel like you're probably getting targeted too just by using that hashtag.
Yeah! There's a lot of NSA stuff going on or something. But anyway, subscribe to us on Twitter, subscribe to the iTunes podcast, comment on the YouTube page, and all that good stuff. Now, it's been a little while since we've had an episode of this show, and we're doing Wednesday nights, even though Stalker airs on Mondays, but that's okay. It gives us a few days to wrap our heads around the episode. And it's been 2 months since we saw episode 17, which ended with Beth in the back of Ray's trunk, sitting next to, or laying next to, a dead Perry.
Oh, no.
Which, yeah. And I guess that's how Perry went out.
Yeah, I know. We were waiting. I was hoping that Perry would have redemption at the end of this whole saga, that, you know, he would come back somehow, Beth would save him. That's really what my heart was going for. I wanted to see Perry kind of level out, not die off. Right.
And I think he's gone. Now, if you do recall, he kind of told Beth to run at the last time we saw her. Run, Beth! Get out of there!
Yeah.
So there was a little bit of redemption for him, but he's a goner now, Anastacia.
Yeah, the Whitley family couldn't save him, unfortunately.
The Whitley family was no good in this situation. Now, we see the start of this episode inside a cabin in the woods. Mm-hmm. Some random guy is doing something with a wire. I kind of thought he was like doing his own stitches or something. It looked very odd.
Yeah. Yeah. First, when it first came on, I was like, okay, we're getting back into the core of this. It's going to be a typical Stalker episode, and that was kind of going to be put in the back burner. So I was really surprised when that knocking on the door started happening. Then I was like, okay, sounds like Ray, but I couldn't tell for sure.
Right.
But I was kind of surprised that they started off the episode that early with Ray.
Yeah, I was too. I didn't know that was going to happen. I wasn't sure if there was going to be a different case other than Ray and Beth in this one, although it makes sense why they did just that storyline. Here's a question for you, though. This is what I want to know. You're in a cabin in the middle of the woods by yourself. Is that a good idea?
I mean, I think if you're a guy, that I feel like guys don't really think like that. He's an older guy. He's probably had that cabin for a long time. He knows his neighbors. Like, you're not really, usually people that stalk or break into places, they're not usually going to desolate areas like that. So I don't really think he was thinking of his safety, that he would be unsafe there. Do you know what I mean?
Steven, what do you think about this? Would you feel safe? Would you go by yourself into a cabin in the middle of the woods?
I mean, only if, like, somebody I'm stalking's in that cabin.
It's a valid point.
Of course, Stephen would.
Now, I would not. And again, this is probably going to bring up the question of my masculinity like it always does on this show, much the same as I wouldn't run after somebody who stole an engagement ring that I was trying to propose with. Right. But generally speaking, I think this show kind of has contributed to my paranoia in terms of being alone pretty much anywhere. I mean, kind of even creeped out being in his studio without you here right next to me. I feel like Steven's going to sneak up behind me and something is going to go down.
You should be, boy.
Who was that? I don't know. But yeah, not a good idea. So Ray knocks on the door. He convinces the guy to give him the phone. And this poor guy opens the door.
That was so bad. Okay. Let's go with that. So this guy's knocking on the door. And he's saying his phone, he doesn't have reception, that he's stranded out there.
Right.
And you can tell the guy wants to say no. He wants to say no. So what I would have done in the first place is not say anything at all. I mean, it's kind of hard because the lights are on and everything. And I don't know, maybe he didn't want Ray to force his way in. But I wouldn't have played into that. I felt like he played into that too easy with opening the door.
I agree with you. And I feel so bad for the guy because he opens it. Ray's like, let me just.
Yeah, but he should have grabbed like a baseball bat, a golf club, a gun, like something. If he was already.
That is true. That is true.
Like a knife just in case this goes bad, like some type of protection.
I mean, he's out in the middle of the woods, so you think he would have some kind of gun or
something,
crossbow or something like that, a baseball bat at the very least, like you said.
That is something I definitely would not do, is open the door if I was in the woods by myself.
Oh yeah, no, I would just remove myself from that situation altogether and never go to the woods by myself.
Absolutely.
So Ray comes in, knocks this guy out, and brings Beth in the door.
Okay. When you were watching it, did you think, okay, maybe like he's gonna let this guy go? Because there was some long pauses when he first got the phone. He dialed the number, then he was like, no. And this whole time I'm waiting for Ray to like jump on him, and it never happens. But so I'm thinking, okay, he's going to let him go, because he kind of did this whole, there was like a calm before it.
No,
so
yeah, I know what you mean.
And then he was like, are you here by yourself? Like that whole thing.
Right. Well, I thought he was, I know what you mean, because for a second I thought he was just going to take the phone and go. Like there was some signal issues, whatever, but by the way, does that happen anymore? Is that a real situation? Do people lose signal out in the middle of the woods? I don't know.
I think they do. I'm losing signal out here in San Jose. I think they do.
Well, this guy, I thought he was going to take the phone and say, oh, this thing, it doesn't have any signal. I'm going to go on top of the mountain of Ojai or whatever and see if I can get 5 bars. But he ended up coming in and taking the guy out. Brings Beth in the door, and that's how we enter the show tonight.
Yes.
Gosh, poor Beth has had a hard time now.
Yeah, and she was unconscious when he brought her in, too.
Yeah.
So she must have just passed out from the sight of Perry.
Yeah, no, probably.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, from L.A. to Ojai is a pretty long ride in the trunk of a car, too. So she was probably, I don't know, not feeling it. We then go to see Janice and Jack talking about Ben. Ben is in the hospital. Ben is in some sort of coma or something.
Yeah,
he's
find
not
out that he's alive, because from the last episode we couldn't really tell if he had made it or not, right? We just knew that he was shot, and I think we made a bet in the studio on whether or not he made it or not. Is that right? We didn't know that he...
No, we didn't. We didn't, because he was shot blank or point blank in the last episode, right when that door opened and Ray just popped him. But glad to know that he's alive. Yes. Then we find out FBI is taking the case.
Yes.
They think that he was crossing state lines, that Ray was crossing state lines, so they handed the case to the FBI. Jack and Janice definitely not okay with this.
No, they were not feeling that at all. And, of course, Jack is really protective over Beth. And I think that once Beth opened up to Janice in those, last episodes, that she also felt really protective of Beth. And, the case was definitely personal to them. And that's the difference with the FBI working on it and for them.
Yeah. And you know, that, like you said, we've seen them kind of sort of slowly become a little family. And I feel bad for Ben, not only because he got shot. I mean, that's an obvious reason. But he's never gets to be a part of anything, the poor guy.
Yeah, Ben's kind of like the fallback guy. I feel like he's kind of the rookie. I mean, I don't know if he's considered a newbie, but he feels like the newbie in the group.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I also think he's working with...
took the gunshot.
I also think he's working with Ray.
I know.
Well,
you said he was working with Perry, so now you're just going to switch up and think Ray. You're just determined to think that Ben is a bad person.
I don't know why. The poor guy's in a coma, and I can't
Someone named Ben must have messed with you in your life.
I don't think so, but I probably have seen a Ben on Twitter under the hashtag Stalker that did something weird. I don't know. We see Beth and Ray in the cabin. Beth / Michelle. So many names. And Ray is talking to her, telling her kind of the plan. Hey, you know, it's going to be okay between me and you. I've waited 12 years. He's feeding her eggs, which is really creepy.
Yeah, he's like, it's just what you like. It's your favorite, remember?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Okay, 12 years ago.
But in that scene, too, also when they sat down, one of the notes that I had made was that, you know, Ray is really trying to prove himself to Beth. So I wasn't, at least up until this point, I wasn't really worried about what was going to happen to Beth because Ray is also protective of her, too. So, I mean, I wasn't worried for her safety in the sense that he was going to hurt her because this whole time he's been trying to get to her. And so when he finally gets her alone, you know, because she doesn't have her friends protecting her or she doesn't have the police protecting her, that's when he opens up and he's really, you see that Ray's just trying to prove like it wasn't his intention to, you know, kill her family and burn the house down and that they could still make things work. And
did you believe him when he said that?
That it wasn't his intention?
That it wasn't his intention? Or do you think that he was...
I do. Well, what he said was that he wanted to set it up and he wanted to be the hero and prove himself to her. And I mean, I do think that because he's so psycho that I feel like he's not really a liar. He's a psycho, but he's not really a liar. So I don't think he would just say that if that wasn't the case.
Yeah, I guess, that kind of, I can see that. It's interesting how much he's trying to convince Beth that the therapy and all these things that he went through actually did work. Like, I wouldn't have assumed that that was the tactic he used to try and convince her that everything is fine. Because normally people are like, oh, I should have never gone away. It was all an accident. But he's like, no, I understand that I'm crazy, but I've had therapy and I took meds and everything is okay now. And I waited for you for 12 years and I will wait for you 12 more years. And I'm a patient person and I'm not crazy, but I'm crazy. And I burned your house down. I'm sorry, but I'm crazy, but I'm not crazy.
Yeah, he does say that. He says that obviously since he knows what he did was wrong, that he's not crazy. He's like, see, I know I did something wrong, so I'm not crazy because I know it's wrong. It's like, no, you're crazy because you did it. And you still did it.
It kind of makes him crazier in a way. Because he's like, yeah, but I don't have a problem. I just kill people occasionally. It's fine.
I think that's the other thing, too, with this episode and with Ray, you know, the introduction of Ray as his character. I feel like Stalker, maybe it's just these few episodes, has kind of taken a different turn than what we saw in the previous episodes because I don't feel like there was a lot of actual killings, which is kind of what I liked in the beginning. It was always on the borderline. And now Ray is like a straight up killing spree. I'm like, whoa, people are dying. What happened?
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And it's not as jumpy. This episode wasn't as jumpy, scary. It was more like, oh my gosh, this is a crazy person that we're following continually.
That's what I liked about the previous episodes was that they were on the brink. Remember like the one that we watched where the girl, she killed the boyfriend and they were on the pier and she was like about to like have them jump together and it was like just in the nick of time. That's the feeling that I loved watching Stalker and I was like so relieved like, oh my gosh, they solved it. Right. But now I'm like, dang, this is like very violent.
Yeah, it was a much different pace too. So we then go and we're talking with Janice and Jack some more. and they're watching the news and they're going through the case. And I thought this was interesting because I don't remember, I'm sure it was mentioned in previous episodes, but I don't remember this fact that Janice says, we have a lot of files to go through. We have a lot of videos and audio and papers and all of this stuff to go through. And we really have 48 hours to find her before things have really gotten out of control. I guess I didn't realize the 48 hours was a thing.
I've heard that. Well, they have that show called 48 Hours. I don't know what network it's on, but I've heard that
That's
before.
a valid point. I never thought about that. I actually never thought about that. That's wow.
Yeah, because 48 hours, I think that time frame, so 2 days, is probably your best chance to gather as much information or try to find the person, because after that it's like you can go a pretty far distance, right? If you were by car, by plane, I think the evidence just gets really difficult after that. I mean, I don't know for sure, but that's what I'm guessing.
It stands to reason. I do kind of find it odd, though, that they weren't looking into these files and such beforehand. Like, even when Beth was in the office, even when she wasn't
You're like 2 months ago
yet.
In that last episode, why weren't you looking in the files?
What the hell?
40 hours, you guys have had 2 months.
I mean, but really, though, he takes Beth, and then they're like, well, we should probably run a background check on this guy, right? Is that guy, we should look into this guy, right?
Yeah.
It's like, wait a second, we weren't doing that?
Well, I think the reasoning, show-wise, was that Vicky, right, that's the girl who took over for Beth, that she was handling everything, and I think it wasn't until the FBI stepped in that Janice and Jack were like, oh, hell no, we have to take this in our own direction. Right. So I think that's kind of what, for all show purposes, I think that's kind of what prompted them to be like, oh, we should look at this.
Yeah. That makes sense. I agree. That makes sense. Ray, Beth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Yeah. More nonsense coming out of Ray's mouth.
About the back and forth, too.
What?
So the whole time he's trying to prove to Beth that he's not crazy, that he's a better person, that he didn't intend to kill the family. But he is like killing all these people in between. Like now he's like still killing people right now. I mean,
poor Hazel comes up in just a minute. And it's like, come on, man. He's like, oh, you can trust me. And then he goes and kills Hazel and then comes back and he's like, well, I mean,
all because she left her scarf. Do you think that if she had not left it, that he really would have let her go? Because when he saw her, he was like, I can't risk you watching the news.
I don't think so.
He would have done it anyways or no?
I think he would have done it anyways.
Okay. Because
I feel like if he had the fear about the news, he would have had it regardless if she had to come back for the scarf or not. Beth tries to get away several times, but she bumps into a tackle box, leaves the knife on the floor. A very conveniently placed tackle box, but not completely out of context because they are maybe near a fishing area in the woods, all that. That makes sense. Yeah. But that's like that's her fixation for quite a while. I don't know. I understand. Gosh, I can't imagine being in a situation like that. Being kidnapped in the middle of a cabin in the middle of nowhere. But I wonder if if she shouldn't have waited a bit and like convinced Ray just a tad bit more that everything was cool.
Well, she was doing that. Remember when she was like, "Oh yeah," they were reminiscing.
But even more so than that, but then again, you have to take every chance you get.
I know. I kind of agree with you in that sense too. I was thinking that because, well, she had already beat him up once with the handcuffs on. Remember?
Yeah.
And then she settled down,
right?
And the second time, like you said, she got the tackle box, and I was kind of thinking, like, I didn't think that Ray was really, as long as she didn't threaten him. I didn't think that he was going to try to kill her. Like, he wasn't going to try to poison her. Like, that's not what he wanted.
Right.
He wanted Michelle back. So I agree with you. I felt like there could have been better timing on her part as far, like, she could have, like, executed something differently. Like, I don't know, maybe when they went to bed or something and then stabbed him.
Right.
But like you said, time is of the essence, I guess.
Right.
So.
I mean, the plan to go to Mexico, that was, like, pretty quick.
Yeah.
I get it. I mean, I get it.
And then he freaking tased her. Poor Beth.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, it's been a while since I've been in a relationship, but is that how it goes?
Yeah, Cameron, that's how it goes these days.
My God.
You don't have a taser?
No. I mean, I probably should, because if I go camping, I'm going to be so paranoid. Let's take a break to remind everybody to subscribe to the podcast in iTunes. Comment, rate us 5 stars if you could. We sure would appreciate that. Comment on the YouTube page. Thanks so much, by the way, to everybody who's reaching out to me on Twitter at The Only Camshaft, to Anastacia at AFTERBUZZ TV, asking us when the show is coming back, contributing to the conversation. We really appreciate it. And again, Anastacia Waller's joining me via a video call there.
Great. Yes.
Jack and Janice decided to take things more into their own hands. They do some digging. They find out that Ray is having this interview with a doctor of some sort. I guess it's a therapy session. And he starts talking about, and this is, again, an old video file. He starts talking about this picture that's on the wall, which I kind of liked how this was pretty interesting to me, because I feel like in most cases on shows like this, it's like, oh, we found a fingerprint, or he used to be high school roommates with the guy. And this was a very minor detail where he goes, yeah, you know, I like the, where is that? That's nice and serene. And it was interesting to see that kind of play out. They don't know what the picture is of. And Jack does a simple Google search, which I love, and figures out the doctor. Google it. So he finds out the doctor's name. They find out that he has a cabin out in in Ojai, and they start to connect the dots. They think maybe, hey, he's up there, and they decide to go after him instead of calling the police. Do you think that was a wise decision, Anastacia? Do you think that was a good decision? I mean, in hindsight, obviously, they were saved.
For them to sneak out?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like if they didn't sneak out, that they weren't going to be able to go. So they kind of had to do what they had to do for the sake of Beth, who it was. Like, if it was just a random person, I don't think that, they would have done that. Right. But, yeah, I think it would have, blocked them or something if they didn't, so.
Right. This is also where #Beth gets real. This is when things start to heat up, which I thought I want to say fun. That seems like an odd word to use, but I'm going to say it. Beth finally gets loose. She uses the knife. She's all this stuff, breaking through the duct tape. She opens the door when Ray goes outside to check on a car or something, and he's there. He has a gun. He's ready for this.
Oh my gosh, I know, that scared me. She was ready to run out. Yeah. And he was waiting with her gun. It was her gun.
Yeah. So she walks back into the house, Ray and the gun behind her, but she has the knife still. Yes.
That scene was so good. It was like all the Muay Thai classes we saw her in the episodes before was for that scene. Like, she kicked his butt. But both of them were getting whacked pretty hard. Him harder, of course. Yeah. But they just kept getting up. Like, I could not believe that Ray kept getting up. Like, I was like, is this guy a robot or something? It was getting scary.
No, yeah, she was whooping him. Like,
I know. I'm like, is this a sound effect or what is this? Because this guy should be down on the ground right now.
#Beth gets real in that episode.
Real. Yeah.
So yeah, they are going at each other, and they end up going into the woods, and that's when things start to get a little interesting, and it's starting to get dark out. Jack and Janice are now up in Ojai. They're checking out the scene. They knock on the doctor's house. There's a college party going on, which was kind of funny. Imagine that if you're just having a party in the middle of the woods, you open the door and it's the police, and you're like, I'm legal.
Don't go out there.
Yeah.
And then Jack was like, no, shut the party down right now.
Yeah, and the guy's like, no, yeah, we're fine. They go, no, it's not a request.
It's over.
Shut it down. Also, can I have a beer?
Yeah.
It was a long drive.
He's like, give me that tequila shot right now.
Is that Billy Joel you guys are spinning? Maybe I'll come in for a minute.
Is that Fireball?
Tell her we'll be there in a few.
Yes.
If only Dylan McDermott would be down for a party. But no, he has a mission. He's going to get Beth. Right. They do some driving around. They see a tire track waiting outside the house.
Yeah, it was so Hollywood and so like Law and Order. It was the smallest clue. When you're out in the woods, especially somewhere like Ojai that is very kind of farmy, and you see a tire track, it was the one tire track, and they were able to, you know, find the whole story from this one tire track. So I was like, okay, that's kind of a stretch.
Yeah, and I feel like if I was in that position, I would either not be that perceptive, or I would just assume everything was a clue. Like I would drive out and be like, well, there's a dead bird on the ground. They probably were angry at a bird.
There's dirt there.
There's the dirt. I see a cigarette butt, and I think Ray used to hang out with people that smoked. That's where they went.
Yeah. Yeah, from the one tire track, it was like everything. It was after the one tire track. So I was like, okay.
Right. But regardless, they go down the road. They see a bunch of mailboxes. They see one mailbox. And Jack points at the one mailbox and goes, isolation. Okay. Yes. So they go after the isolated house. It makes sense. But come on, Ray, you got to be smarter next time, dude.
Right.
I mean, geez. So long story short, walk us through what happens now. They're at the house. They find handcuffs on the ground.
The house, yes. And when they look inside, this was also weird to me, okay? So they see the handcuffs. Janice sees the handcuffs on the floor.
Yeah.
And she's, oh, she got away. And then they start looking around and they're like, oh, and from the looks of it, she kicked his butt. But I'm thinking, like, how did you know? I mean, maybe they just know Beth and they were like, she did it. But I'm like, how did you really know? Like, it probably just looked like a fight went down. But Janice is like, oh, she kicked his butt.
No, I agree with you. I think maybe that was just like putting positive thoughts out into the universe. I don't know.
Okay.
But still, I would have looked at it and been like, well, something happened here. And
it probably would have made me more worried because they both weren't there. And it looks like chaos in the house.
Right, and there's blood everywhere, so it's like maybe somebody killed the other person, and they're both gone, so that's not a great situation. Right. And chances are Beth is not the one alive if somebody isn't alive, because she would have called us.
Yes.
And said, hey, it's all good.
Yeah. Like, it's clear. I got him, you guys. I got him.
Yeah. So then they're running through the woods dark, and that's terrifying. That's terrifying. But Jack is running through there. Jack stumbles upon Beth, who is hiding under a rock.
Yes. And I knew that was going to be Jack. Yeah. Because, you know, the way that they were leading it was, you know, kind of making it to seem like it could be anybody. But I obviously knew that it was going to be Jack to save the day. And that was such a sweet moment because she was crying. But then, like, whenever they show those scenes where it's like he finally gets her, I feel like they pause too long. It's like, no, he's still out there. Run.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'd be like, oh my God, I'm so glad you're okay. Let's hurry. We got to get out of here.
Right.
Not like, hey, do you want to like have a toaster strudel or something? Like, what are you doing? Get out of the woods.
Hey, he's like, there's a college party down the street. You want to go?
Right. I heard they were spinning some fresh tracks and they got some good snacks.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It's true though.
And he starts, you know, then Jack starts calling Janice and he lets, of course, Vicky know back at home base. And I was getting nervous for Janice out there because I was like, oh no, she's by herself, which I thought was a bad idea from the beginning that they split up, especially in the dark.
Oh yeah.
With what Ray's capable of doing and what he's done to the other detectives and to, I already forget her name, but Jack's baby mama. What's her name?
Amanda.
Oh yeah, Amanda.
Yeah. It's hard keeping track of names on this show.
Shouldn't have split up. Like, this guy's crazy. He killed Perry, knocked out Amanda, stole Tracy. So
I kind of expected Perry to pop up with Beth in the woods and be like, "I'm totally fine. Let's get out of here."
Oh, Perry.
I've been hanging at the party for half an hour. It's time that you come over, and Jack can come too.
And can you correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Beth shot? I could have swore Jack said, like, oh, you've been shot or something.
She was, excuse me. Whenever she was running away and
he was shooting at her.
He grazed her leg. He grazed her leg a little bit.
Okay, because, yeah, like towards the end when she went to the hospital, but I'm like, hasn't Beth been shot? What's going on? Why is she saying hi to
She
everybody?
was shot, but then whenever Jack saw her, he was like, "Oh, you're totally fine. Don't be a wuss. It's just a graze. Are we going to the party or not?"
Okay.
Like, put some dirt in it. Let's go to the party.
Okay.
But then Jack takes Beth into a random house, which I would be afraid of doing. Finds her a first aid kit. Somebody flips on the light. It's Ray. He has Janice at gunpoint. Yes. And that's when things start to really get messy.
Well, he got her in the woods. He got her in the woods.
Yeah. But things start really kind of going crazy in the house. Jack drops his gun on the floor, kicks it over to Ray because he's threatening to shoot Janice, obviously. And then he says, "Hey, you know, I'm obviously not getting out of this situation, but I mean, I guess we're going to burn it down." And that was kind of full circle. He even said it out loud. This is kind of full circle for you.
Yes. And then he knocked Janice out cold.
Yeah, poor girl.
I was like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah.
That was a hard hit.
It was a hard hit. Meanwhile, Vicky Gregg has brought the helicopter. She has tons of units outside. They're trying to locate everybody and figure things out. And they walk up to the house as it's burning, and there's a scuffle inside. Jack finds a moment whenever Ray is screwing with the lighter. He tackles him. The girls get out of the house. Jack is in the house. They pull him out, and then there's a big old boom that happens.
Right.
Now,
that's it.
The question of the hour, Anastacia.
Yes.
And actually a question that one of our listeners/viewers wants to ask us. Mm-hmm. And I think it's on everybody's lips.
Is Cam single?
Is Cam single? And the answer is...
no.
Yes.
Oh, okay, yes.
No.
I don't know.
Anastacia, we're live. We can't mess up that opportunity.
Oh, yes.
But the question that's on everybody's lips is actually coming from Will at Axe the Mercenary. Thank you for the question. He says, "Do you think we've seen the last of Ray? Did Ray die in that house fire?"
Yes. This story has to end. I say yes.
Okay. Will says, "I don't think so." I say yes. I say we've seen the last of him. You say we've seen the last of him. However, if Ray makes a reappearance at some point, I wouldn't be completely shocked.
Okay.
I guess. Do you know what I mean? I could see at some point, you know, things are kind of getting dry. They're going, I don't know, Beth seems too strong now. And they go, well, Ray didn't really have to die in the fire.
And no, it's like Ray had a son that no one knew about.
Right. And he's given him his journal. He was at the party.
Beth had his son, but she gave it away for adoption, and it came back to find her.
Yeah, flashback to the college party. He's in the corner of the room.
Yeah.
Handing out the...
Jack is Ray's brother. No, I'm just kidding. Something crazy.
Oh, my gosh. All right, well, that is that episode, 18 in the Woods. Any other thoughts on the episode from tonight?
Well,
or from Monday, rather?
That I liked the end scene when, they had pulled Jack out of there. I was getting a little bit nervous because, he was being heroic and saving Beth and Janice. But I loved the end scene when the house is going up in flames. They pulled Jack out, and you heard one of the FBI agents or one of the helpers faintly say, "There's still a body in there left. We couldn't get to it." Yeah. And obviously that was Ray. So, I mean, that's another reason why I think it's the end of it. And then Beth gets up and she's looking at the house burning. And I was I liked that because I felt like it was closure for her. But at the same time, it was kind of sad because that's the scene that happened to her family. So she had to see it over again. Yeah. But at the same time, it was like, you're getting what you deserve type of thing. And she was getting closure out of that moment. So I liked the end scene to that.
Yeah, I think Maggie Q did a good job of kind of conveying that thought too. Because you see the different beats of that thought process from, yes, he's gone, to, this happened to my family, back to, yes, he's gone again.
Yeah.
And even though she has this situation with Ray, I don't know that she wants anybody to die necessarily. So I think there's a little bit of sadness there. And I forgot to mention as well that Ben does wake up at the end of the episode.
Yes.
And he's happy to see Beth.
Yeah.
And he asks, he says, I'm sorry. Poor guy. Poor Ben. It's not your fault.
I know.
All right. Any other thoughts there, Anastacia?
No, I think that was a good recap, Cam.
Why don't we do a little bit of news and gossip and listener comments? Can we get that theme rolling? We'll improv it.
AFTERBUZZ TV News.
Oh, yes. A live liner there. Thank you, Steven. Let me... Again. All right. So we have Master Keith tweeting us asking Anastacia any word on season 2 of Stalker. Well, I can tell you that we haven't heard anything on that, to my knowledge. Have you heard any news on that front?
I have not. And I see also that, just since we're talking about this right now, that it seems like the next new episode is in 2 weeks.
It is.
Yes. So I'm not sure about a season 2, seeing how these episodes are going right now.
Well, I will say that Monday night's episode, the one we just recapped, episode 18, The Woods, did have a slight bump in the new time slot. It looks like there was a 17% increase from last time we had a new episode. So I think that's a good thing for sure.
Oh, nice. Yay.
But I think that they might kind of base the decision off how the next episode does. And we'll find out. But as soon as we find out, we will let all of you know, and we'll tweet it. Yes. ABTV Stalker is that hashtag. Another question for you. This is an interesting one, Anastacia. I like this one. DeAndre P25 on Twitter says, if you could choose any actor to be on the show, who would they be?
Ooh, that is a good one.
That's a good one, right?
Yeah, that is a good one.
What do you think?
I mean, I want to go with probably a realistic. When I say realistic, I mean, I can't picture Leonardo DiCaprio on the show. So let's go with television actors that's on right now.
Okay.
Dang, I'm a big fan of Law and Order. I think it'd be cool to see Mariska Hargitay.
That would be a great one.
I don't know if not necessarily getting stalked, but maybe helping with like the police with the stalking unit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of hard.
I'm gonna go with.
What about you?
I'm gonna go with Patton Oswalt.
Okay.
Because why not? I think the guy. I would love to see a comedian come into a show like this and just see how they do. You know what I mean?
Okay, wait. I changed my answer. I have a good one.
Okay, what is it?
Okay, it's gonna sound superficial, but it would be kind of funny if not funny, but kind of real if Kim Kardashian was on an episode. Because I'm sure like she has stalking cases and she has been in minor roles. So if they did like an episode spoofing, or whether it was actually Kim playing, in a small role, I think that could be kind of legit as far as Hollywood stalking.
Oh yeah. Now that's true. That's a good little guest appearance where she's the victim. Now I didn't actually think about that. I just went for like who would be a guest detective or something.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, Taylor Swift.
Justin Bieber.
Why not? Throw them all out there. Well, thank you for the questions. Thank you for the tweets. ABTV Stalker is that hashtag. I think that is about it for us tonight. Anastacia Waller, tell the people where they can find you on the Tweety.
You guys can find me on Twitter at _AnastasiaW or on Instagram at Anastacia Waller.
And you can find me at The Only Camshaft on Twitter and Instagram, or CameronLewis.com. We will see you in 2 weeks here on AfterBuzz TV with episode 19 of Stalker. Until then, we'll see you next time.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.